Hey, this is Dr. Dolgus, and today I want to share with you an active stretch technique for a muscle that's often overlooked when we're treating head and neck pain and muscle tension through these structures, difficulty swallowing, TMJ problems, and airway issues. And that muscle is called the platysma muscle. Now, the platysma muscle is a fairly large muscle, and we don't really talk about it very much. We talk about the hyoids, the infrahyoids, the suprahyoids, the digastrics, the sternocleidomastoids, the scalenes, trapezius, and the superior cervical chain, but we don't talk a lot about this huge muscle that sits superficial, sits right on top of all those different muscles. This platysma muscle begins down underneath your collarbone, so its origin is down here close to the middle of your chest almost. So it covers about a quarter of the upper chest. It goes over the collarbones, across the neck, and its bands course upward over the lower jaw and into the facial muscles, into the fascia over the facial muscles. What this muscle does is it pulls the face down and it pulls the chest skin up. So it has the effect of looking like this. Now, sometimes when I'm doing my neurological examination, when I'm testing people's facial muscles and testing their jaw muscles, I'll tell the patient to smile with his or her teeth, and I get this. Now you can see, move a little closer so you can see this a little better. You can see the bands of these muscles, the fibers of these muscles activate when I do that. Right? So you can see how superficial this muscle is. It's not the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is right here. The superficial platysma muscle makes me make a face like this. Now, when do we make a face like that? And we tend to make a face like that when we're worried about somebody getting hurt, right? Or we make a face like that when we see something that kind of grosses us out. So these aren't necessarily positive emotions. And any of us who have studied the connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit or soul have seen over and over again that there are connections between muscle movements and emotions. Emotions are just energy in motion, right? So what puts them in motion? It's your muscles. So a lot of these muscles tend to be connected with certain emotional states, and they can be triggered when events happen in your life that bring up those emotional states. So this muscle needs to be able to be active in order to make certain facial expressions. And what you have to ask yourself, though, is, are those the facial expressions that you want to be predominantly making? And if you look at what happens to my mouth when I make that expression compared to a smile, it's the opposite. So the platysma muscle kind of has this effect of being the opposite of a smile. So how are we going to stretch this muscle? Well, we're going to do an active stretching technique. It's very gentle. I don't want you to overdo it. We don't want to shake up or stir up any of the cervical spine issues that you might be having when we're just trying to stretch this superficial muscle. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you put your fingers right under your collarbones on both sides. I want you to look down and I want you to push into that depression under the collarbones. And then I just want you to smile and look up. And feel. Notice that pull that has on your face. If you're paying close attention, you'll begin to notice. If I go to one side and I pull up, I can feel that tension that I'm applying down with my hands underneath my collarbone. I can feel that tension pulling on my cheekbone way up here. So as we release, as we look down, smile, and look up. And just let that tension release. As you do that, it'll free up the muscles that lie underneath this platysma muscle to do what they need to do when you breathe and when you swallow, when you turn your head from side to side, and when you chew food. So hopefully this will help release some of that tension that you might be feeling in the front of the neck. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe. This has been another TMJ Tip. Again, I'm Dr. Jeff Dolgus, and I will see you next time. Take care.